So I just finished watching the Pokemon Presents, and wow. So this morning was the August Pokemon Presents, and it was the biggest Pokemon Presents that they've ever held. And my expectations were a little high, a little high. And Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are my favorite games of all time. The soundtrack is my favorite soundtrack of all time. I just love Gen 4 and everything that it presents to the Pokemon franchise. And so you could probably expect that my expectations were pretty above average for these games, considering these are the destined Gen 4 remakes. Oh, they better not ruin my Sinnoh. And one of these reasons for these expectations was the fact that we saw those updated screenshots in the OLED trailer. But yeah, this isn't really going to be like my normal scripted videos. I was going to write a script, but I just got back from watching the presents, and I'm just way too excited, and I just have to sit down and just vent all my feelings. So feel free to put this video on in the background, or just watch it like normal. But yeah, I don't even know where to start. But I guess we'll just start with how BDSP looked before. I actually made a video on it about how the games had so much potential. You should check it out. And I think I was correct for the most part. Pokemon is finally evolving. And BDSP before, it was not good. It looked like a mobile game. It was awful. And obviously I was expecting it to improve. Hopefully. I didn't expect it to improve this much. What we saw in this trailer absolutely blew me away. I mean, I knew I was in for a good time when I saw Chimchar and Piplup brutally murder Turtwig in cold blood. That was pretty funny. As soon as I got that shot of Floroma Town, I was like instantly hooked. Instantly. I knew I was in for a good time. Everything just has this real sense of warmth now. Before, you could look at the overworld and it just had this stale, sort of just eerie almost presence to it. And now everything feels lived in. It feels like a Pokemon game. It feels like how I imagined Diamond and Pearl were like as a flourishing world. They made a really good use of, I think, the blur effect, and there's lots of blooming. A lot of people are saying they don't really like this, but I think that it works wonders for making it feel more lived in, and it just makes the world pop a little bit more. It gives me major vibes from Link's Awakening. Now, I did have some expectations for new features that they were going to introduce. One of these were, I'm still hoping for Mega Evolution. I don't think Dialga and Palkia are going to have new forms. I think that wave that I've been riding has long descended deep into the ocean. But I still do think there's a chance that Mega Evolution can come back. And the reason for that is this trailer was more focused on new features that they were adding to the game to make it more modern. And I feel like the next trailer that they put out is going to be focused on the story and focused on new aspects that they're putting into that, like platinum content or maybe even new story beats and things like that. But let's talk about what this trailer focused on. Not only was it the improved graphics, but it was also some new features. They introduced following Pokemon. Finally, following Pokemon. I actually did not think this was going to happen. I thought it was only going to happen in Amity Square, but now that I look at it more, I realize that, yeah, this makes total sense. I mean, you're already letting certain Pokemon follow you in Amity Square. Why not just do it the entire game, you know? The only thing I see about this is that it kind of devalues Amity Square a little bit. I'm curious how they're going to work around that and make it more unique, because the whole point of Amity Square was you walk in and, wow, my super cute Pokemon is following me now. And that was really cool. But now that Pokemon can just follow you everywhere, I don't really know how they're going to make Amity Square sort of lure the player in. Another thing they introduced, which I did not think was going to happen either, was new clothing. Now this isn't like Sword and Shield where you can buy a hat, you can buy a shirt, you can buy a pant, where you can buy pants, and then you can just sort of mix and match all the clothings you want. You buy specific outfits, kind of like Let's Go. Did Let's Go have specific outfits? I'm not sure. So we get through that, and then we go to we fade to black, right? And then the music. Oh, the music is just heaven to my eardrums. Oh, there's like this really cool build up with like all this Team Galactic text, and then we get our introduction to Team Galactic. And I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to see Chibi Cyrus, but the music in these trailers were just phenomenal. Of course, I have no doubts when it comes to these games' OSTs that the music is going to be bad, but again, I just can't get over how good it is. Now, one thing that I would like to point out is that it wasn't all peaches and gravy. There was this really weird shot early on of this swamp area. I forget what it's called, but it just did not look good at all. It just looked awful, just really, really bad. Of course, the game footage is not final, as it always is, but I do fear, now that we're getting so close to the game's release, that I really hope that it gets more polished. But other than that one thing, things looked generally really good. There were still some minor things you could tweak up. There was this one shot of you with Professor Rowan, and the tree next to you was sort of clipping into the grass. It didn't really look very good, but other than that, just beautiful. I also really liked another feature that they introduced in the underground, which was these areas where you could go into and you could see Pokemon in the overworld and you could catch them. And I think this is a really smart way to overcome the challenges that the Pokedex had in the original games. If you don't know, fire Pokemon in the original Gen 4 games were not abundant at all. If you didn't choose Infernape as your starter, you weren't looking very good for fire coverage on your team. But I like how they specifically highlighted you catching a Houndoom, because now you can get all sorts of different varieties of Pokemon. I also like that they highlighted you catching a Munchlax, because Munchlax are notorious. They're just awful to catch. It's like a super small chance that you'll find them on a honey tree. And yeah, those odds aren't really good to begin with. And then there's also the odds on top of that you'll find a Munchlax, and it's tedious and boring. Before I wrap up on BDSP, there's one more thing that I'd like to mention. If you don't know, my favorite OST is the Diamond and Pearl OST, obviously, as I said before. And my favorite song out of all of these is Heart Home City. There's just something about the track that just really resonates with me. I just remember just staying in Heart Home City and doing the Pokemon contests and just walking around. It's always been my favorite town in any RPG, in any Pokemon game. Usually before a game comes out, I listen to the OST because I'm weird like that. I really like video game music, but this is one game that I'm not going to do this with, because I want to be surprised with every super nostalgic track that just hits me right in the gut. And this happened when they were talking about, I believe, the Pokemon contests, and the Heart Home City theme came on, and I could not contain it. Man, it just makes me so thankful that these games are being made. I've wanted Gen 4 remakes for so long, and despite the cheapies, despite the not very looking graphics at some point, I'm just glad that I finally get to experience Sinnoh all over again. Alright, now let's move on to Legends Arceus, or Arceus, whichever way you want to put it. I usually say Arceus, but apparently it's Arceus, and I don't know, it's still weird to me. I was more looking forward to BDSP because I'm weird like that. No, that's not to say that Legends Arceus doesn't interest me at all. Of course it does. This is exactly the game that I imagined I would play in the future when I was sitting in a road trip playing Black and White on my DS. This is what I imagined Pokemon would be like in like 20 years or something like that. And the fact that it's coming out early, like really early next year, which isn't that far away, is just boggling to me. And there were, of course, my gripes with the original trailer. The world felt dead. The graphics were very just not polished. The frame rate was constantly dropping, not only just in general, but for the Pokemon specifically. You know, the infamous Chingling. And these were really the things that I was hoping for them to fix. And if I saw those things, I would be satisfied. But, oh boy! So of course we got that updated graphics and the smoother frame rate. The graphic blowup wasn't as insane as it was for BDSP, in my opinion. I still noticed that things looked a lot more polished, but it wasn't the immediate just hit me in the face like BDSP did. The frame rate for the Pokemon was dramatically increased. They look so smooth now, and just the frame rate in general just is being handled really well. I'm curious to see if it will be like that when I actually get my hands on the game. One thing I didn't expect this trailer to do was introduce new regional forms. I was not expecting this at all. I thought it was just going to be more of a game where Pokemon you already knew and were familiar with were in the wild, and you could see them be like, oh, there's a Rattata or something like that. But no, there's new forms. There's a I don't believe I don't have their names here. Let me look them up here. All right, yeah, we have the Hisuian forms. That's what they're called. We have Wyrdeer, which is a evolution of Stantler. I always thought that Stantler deserved an evolution, so I'm really happy that's happening. We have my personal favorite, Basculegion. I just can't get over how the monotone, sort of cheery voice was just reciting his dark backstory about how he consumes the dead souls of his brethren that try and go upstream. That was just amazing. But yeah, we also have Hisuian Braviary. I always said Braviary. I know the narrator said Braviary, but I always said Braviary. Hisuian Braviary. Psychic Flying looks really cool. I'll get into how we saw these Pokemon in action in the trailer later. And then we have Hisuian Growlithe, which I think is really cute. I love his little beard and his hair. So as I was saying, I was things were looking up, and then I thought that the trailer had peaked, right? I was like, dang, this is really cool. And then I see the female main character just jump off a cliff, and the beat drops of the music, and it's so cool, and she just flies up on the Braviary, and oh, the music. Without the music, I would not be as impressed, but it's just so good. I really hate to compare the two, but it really just does give me Breath of the Wild vibes. And I don't really mean that in a negative way. Breath of the Wild is an amazing game, and before, it did sort of seem like a Breath of the Wild clone, but after this trailer, we got to see a lot more of the gameplay elements that went into the game, and it's a lot more like Monster Hunter Stories, actually, the more that I look at it. Then we get to see the main character using these new forms as sort of like ride Pokemon. So we have Basculegion in the water, surfing along. We have Braviary using it as a flight system, and it's really cool. You can just sort of fly over everything and see stuff from down below. You have the Wyrdeer using it for mobile transportation, going real fast along the ground. It just looks really cool. And then the music gets really dark and gloomy, and then we get our look at boss Pokemon, and this looks really cool. One of the things that immediately stuck out to me was the fact that they just try and murder you in cold blood. One of my favorite moments from the trailer is when the boss Ursaring just literally just tries to murder the player. It's really good. But we get to see the bosses and how that functions, and they look really cool. The battle animations look really cool, and then we get to see the battle styles, which I think is really unique. I believe there's I forget what they're called, but there's a fighting one, and then there's a sort of agility one. I forget what they're called, but one of them gives you more power, and one of them gives you more turns, and I really like how it handles turn economy. I believe it's Final Fantasy X that does this, question mark. But basically you can take more than 2 turns in a row if the odds are on your favor and you have a higher speed stat. I think this is really cool. And accented with the battle music and the sort of dramatic zoom in and the cool new battle animations and the art style, it all just comes together in this really, really unique and just honestly inspiring package. I'm really happy to see Game Freak. After so many years of mediocrity, it's so good to see Game Freak finally evolving. After this, we got to see, we got to dive a little bit into the story a little bit, which I really enjoyed. We got to see a bunch of new characters, where you're at the Galaxy Research Department, I believe it's called, or something along those lines. And we get to meet a lot of characters, which I believe 2 of which are ancestors. There's the big tough guy. I'm forgetting their names, I apologize, but I believe he is confirmed to be Rowan's ancestor. And then we have the Cyrus-looking girl, and I will bet a lot of money that she's going to betray us and start Team Galactic. I also really like the idea that we are sort of building up Jubilife Village, and sort of Jubilife City is a really cool, unique location, and I think starting from there is a really cool idea. Also, Jubilife Village and the overworld actually look so much more alive now. There's still a little bit more that the Pokemon could be doing, in my opinion. I still think they could be interacting a little bit more or running away if they get one of their friends caught. But it looks better than the original trailer, that's for sure. Jubilife Village, there's actually people in it now, and they're not just aimlessly standing around like in the mainline Pokemon games. You can see this one woman sweeping, you can see people talking. It actually looks like a lived-in place, and those are the sort of things that I really appreciate. But yeah, those are my thoughts and opinions on the recent Pokemon Presents. I have an actual video that's in the works right now. I actually might need to change a little bit of it because of this trailer, because I was going to talk about Pokemon in it, and some of my nitpicks with the franchise. I might have to change some of that stuff now, which is honestly pretty exciting. But yeah, look forward to that. There's also one more thing that came out of these trailers that I really enjoyed. Guys, they responded to our hashtag. They fixed Chibi Lucas. I'm so excited.